So the next module in Generation Text Online Framework is Module 4, which is Mean versus Nice. Now that's kind of the shortened version. It's actually trying to understand the difference between mean, negative, and hurtful behavior versus nice, positive, and supportive behavior. And while that sounds very simple, there's a couple reasons why we really had to create and simplify the idea of this module. Number one is we have this issue with bullying and people calling things bullying and people feeling bullied. And so that's a really broad term. And so what we want to do is really get rid of the term bullying in your classroom, in your school, and we want to call it what it is: mean, negative, and hurtful behavior. Now, the other thing is, a lot of the times kids may do something and they'll say, well, I was just kidding. So the idea in this module is to help kids understand that it doesn't matter what your intentions were. It matters how the person or people felt as a result of your actions. So therefore, we say mean, negative, and hurtful. So a lot of times, let's say somebody calls somebody a name, and you say, Johnny, why did you call him that name? And the boy will say, well, I was just kidding. It's just a joke. We're friends. So instead of saying it like that, you could say, Johnny, when you called him that name, was that nice and positive? And the idea is that you want to use inquiry. You want to use questions to ask your students what their behavior was, what category it went into. So here's the actual learning activity for this particular module. What you're going to do is you're going to ask your students to give you examples of mean, negative, and hurtful behavior that happens. So they'll start to give you answers. Now, it's really important that you have somebody at the board that is recording this. And I find that you might want to have two people recording this, writing on the board, because the answers come very fast. And they'll start with the things that they think of first. And then you'll want to suggest different areas in their lives. Well, how about in the class when I'm not looking? Or how about when you're in line? Or in the lunchroom? Or in the bathroom? Or what about sports? What about the neighborhood? So as you suggest different areas, they will use their thinking skills to imagine what that is and how they felt in those situations, and they'll connect it with a mean and negative, hurtful action that happened. So you simply want to take a list of things that happen that they believe that are mean, negative, and hurtful behavior. And the idea is that you want to have that list, take a picture of that list so that everybody knows exactly that people feel that that's mean and negative. So you're setting the expectations of what behaviors are not acceptable, what things are not acceptable. When you're finished with that, you're going to turn it around and do the exact opposite. You're going to ask your students, okay, give me examples of things that are nice, positive, and supportive that happen in the classroom. Or what is something that you can do to make somebody happy? A lot of times you have to actually connect the emotion with the task. So what is something that can make somebody feel supported or feel welcome? And you might, again, want to suggest certain scenarios, like, well, what if somebody's new? Or what if somebody's sitting alone in the lunchroom? Or what if somebody was just called a name? Or what if somebody is having people say mean things about them online? So the idea is, what exact things can you do that are nice, positive, and supportive? Things that you can do to make somebody else feel good. Again, have somebody at the board writing this. This gives them the visual for the visual learning piece. And have two people because it goes very, very quickly. And again, take a photograph or have somebody else recording this, because it's important to display these things in your learning environment so that people can refer to them when you ask them questions. And that'll be your new vocabulary. It's a common language that we want everybody to be using. So just remember, you're going to use inquiry. If somebody does something, you don't ask them why they did that, or you just say, was it nice, positive, and supportive? Or was that mean, negative, and hurtful? And the idea is that you just want them to reflect on that. They don't have to necessarily give you an answer. So that's how you're going to address anything that happens in the classroom or anything that the kids tell you. So we're going to help them connect an action to a feeling. And that's module 4. Remember, as far as the routine goes, you're still shaking kids' hands at the door when they approach. When you see them in the hallway, I'd like you to role model the same thing. Respect, going up to them, shaking their hand, saying something positive to them. Also, when people come into your room, make sure you stop what you're doing. Address the person that came in your room, approach them, welcome them by giving them a handshake, eye contact, and saying something positive. And the practice for this is using inquiry-based instruction. So using inquiry when you want to correct a student or you want to identify what they should or should not be doing, is forming it as a question. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me, and we look forward to seeing how this goes with you.